Well, good morning there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning YouTube Sports Talk. Hello, viewers, for being with me here this morning. I just want to do a quick wrap-up of the second round of the NCAA Tournament while I'm here with you here this morning. And I'm going to give you a special look ahead to the Sweet 16. I'm not going to be on here too long today, but this is just going to be a quick wrap-up. A look ahead of the Sweet 16. That's pretty much going to sum it up. Just want to let you know up front, let's have a great few. I'm going to take some time with you, so let's enjoy ourselves, and let's get on with it. The Saturday action of the NCAA Tournament in the second round was something to remember. Gonzaga knocked off Baylor 83-71. Brandon Clark had 36 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists for Gonzaga in their big victory. And that was a big win for Gonzaga. They're moving on. So I'm going to tell you now, all 4 of my Final Four teams are still intact. The next game, Michigan State, Minnesota. Michigan State took care of Minnesota 70-50. Cassius Winston had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. And a big win for them. Michigan State's moving on to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2015, so congrats to them on that. Also, too, Kentucky had no problem with Wofford University on Saturday, 62-56. Reed Travis, a double-double for him. 14 points, 11 rebounds, 1 big steal in that game. And that was huge. And also, too, number 10, Florida loses to number 2, Michigan State. Michigan beats Florida 64-49. Xavier Simpson, the best performer for Michigan. 9 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. 3 nines. That's very simple. Now, Florida State ends Murray State's dream run with an 80-70 victory on this past Saturday. Mfanu Kanagle, he had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal. Ja Morant, a very impressive performance for him. I will say this in a losing effort. 28 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Murray State had nothing for Florida State, but Ja Morant gave a great performance. So I just had to recognize that here this morning. LSU barely beat Maryland 69-67. Skylar Mays had 6 in LSU's victory over Maryland. Skylar Mays, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. Tremont Waters, with 1.6 seconds left, went right past 3 defenders, got the layup for the win. That is what March Madness is about, people. That's what it's about. Purdue ended also, too, on Saturday. Purdue ended Villanova's dream of winning another national championship, 87-61. Here we go. All right. Purdue ended Villanova's dream of another national championship run with an 87-61 victory. Carson Edwards was a beast on Saturday. 42 big points, 6 rebounds in that game. Kansas ended Auburn's run at another. Auburn also beat Kansas on Saturday with a big victory. Bryce Brown had 25 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And that's your Saturday action. Let's look at Sunday's action. And I'm going to tell you now, just barely, my national championship game is still intact after what happened on Sunday. Duke barely survived UCF when UCF had a chance to win it and they missed a layup at the end. Duke's got a 77-76 victory. Zion Williamson, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. He had a double-double on the day. Aubrey Dawkins, I got to recognize his performance. 32 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Virginia went on to beat Oklahoma 63-51. Mamahandi Diakite, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 1 steal. North Carolina had no problem against the Washington Huskies on Sunday, 81-59. Nasir Little, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 1 block. Now, the most important, the only overtime game over the weekend. Tennessee survives Iowa 83-77. Grant Williams, the SEC Player of the Year, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Texas Tech had no problem with the Buffalo Bulls out of the Mid-America Conference, 78-58. Nick Perkins, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 1 steal. Noacine Ideas, 14 points, 15 rebounds, a double-double for him, and 1 assist. The Houston Cougars had no trouble against Ohio State, 74-59. Corey Davis Jr., 21 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Virginia Tech had no problem with Liberty on Sunday, 67-58. Kerry Blackshear Jr., 19 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. And the only double-digit seeded matchup of the weekend, Oregon had no problem with UC Irvine as they beat UC Irvine 73-54. Peyton Pritchard had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists in the game. So that is your weekend look back. Now, Gonzaga, North Carolina had no trouble. Duke, when I saw Duke barely escape, I got to tell you, my heart almost stopped. My heart was skipping a beat. If they had lost that game, my bracket would have been completely trashed. I just gotta thank UCF for missing that layup personally. I shouldn't sound like that. I'm sorry. However, when you got 4-3 of the number 1 seeds going to the Final Four, come on, let's think about this. Now, my Final Four, like I said, is barely intact. Gonzaga still in it, no problem in their game. Duke, they had to survive a 1-point scare. Tennessee needed overtime to beat Iowa, and North Carolina had no problem against Washington. So that is your look back at the Sweet 16. And now, at the second round of the tournament, I'm jumping ahead here. I'm excited. This is what March Madness is about. Now, the Sweet 16 matchups are going to be very interesting to see what happens there. These are the Thursday matchups. Florida State will face Gonzaga in one of the early games. Purdue will face Tennessee. Texas Tech faces Michigan. And in the only double-digit seed left, Oregon, the 12th seed, they get to face Virginia. We can cross that off as a loss for Oregon. And in the Friday matchups in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Tournament, we started out with LSU. They will face Michigan State on Friday. Auburn gets the pleasure of facing North Carolina. Now we're back. Sorry about that. I had a device acting up here. Has a little bit of a bellyache. Now I'm back. All right, the Friday matchups is a repeat. Number 3 LSU will face Michigan State. That is your Friday. That's the first matchup on Friday. What? Okay, try it again here one more time. Now, the Friday matchups for the NCAA Tournament are as follows. Number 3 LSU will face Michigan State on Friday. That's the first matchup. The second matchup on a Friday, the other early matchup is going to be 5th seeded Auburn versus number 1 North Carolina. The other matchups on Friday are going to be Virginia Tech. They will face Duke. And of course, to close out the weekend on Friday is going to be Houston versus Kentucky. Now, let's go back and let's talk about some of these matchups real quick. Florida State versus Gonzaga. Gonzaga should have no problem against Florida State. Because here's the reason. Now, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup, and here's the reason why. Let's think about this for a minute. For Gonzaga, they took care of Baylor easily, 83-71. Brandon Clark, 36 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. If they can get another performance like that out of him, lights out, goodbye, Florida State. But Florida State, Mfiondu Kanagle, he had 22.7 rebounds. He's got to at least put up 30 to have any chance of Florida State knocking off Gonzaga and trashing my bracket. There is something to think about for that matchup. So in all, I got to give the edge to Gonzaga. And we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now, the other one the next game for Thursday, Purdue versus Tennessee. Woo, boy, that's not going to be fun. Tennessee has got to find a way to stop Carson Edwards. Think about it. In the second round of their tournament game, Carson Edwards put up 42 points. Now, also too, Carson Edwards has been averaging almost 25, 26 points a game, for crying out loud. So there's a lot of concern there. Now, I had Tennessee going all the way to the Final Four. I should have rethought that. I was afraid Purdue and Tennessee were going to face off. This is the one that has me the most concerned. And here's why. Tennessee, a great team. Jordan Bone, Emerald Schofield, Grant Williams, great players. Don't get me wrong. But they have got to find a way to stop Carson Edwards. If they don't, if Carson Edwards does what he did in his last game, lights out. Tennessee's going home. But if Tennessee can find a way to stop Carson Edwards and stop Ryan Klein, if they can hold those two to nothing, I really do think Tennessee has a shot. But all in all, I'm going to call this game a toss-up. Because anything can happen in the NCAA tournament, and it usually does. Now the third Thursday matchup for the Sweet 16. Texas Tech versus Michigan. This is the one that's got me thinking that Texas Tech is going to win this one going away. And here's why. Texas Tech. Now, let me see if I can find it here. I got to look over my cheat sheet here. Oh, here we go. Texas Tech had no problem with Buffalo, 78-58. I mean, Doris Adisia. Or I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Anyway, he had 14 points, 15 assists. That was huge. But also, too, Michigan's best performer was Xavier Simpson. 9 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Can't do that. Not against a team out of the Big 12. And keep in mind, Texas Tech is one of the co-champions of the Big 12 regular season. So all in all, considering everything that I saw out of Texas Tech, I got to go with Texas Tech winning that game over Michigan going away. Because no disrespect to Michigan, but you got Xavier Simpson's got to put up 20 points against Texas Tech. Because think about it, they got Jarrett Culver, they got David Moretti, they can get the job done. They're the co-champs of the Big 12 for crying out loud of the Big 12 regular season. So that's why I'm going with Texas Tech to pull off the win. Now Virginia, number 1 seeded Virginia versus number 12 seeded Oregon, the only double-digit seed left. This, my friends, I'm not even going to waste my time with it. I'm going with Virginia. And you're finding out why. And that's all there is to it. I don't even have to look at the notes. Oregon, the Pac-12 was just weak as it was. The Pac-12 was weak. And Virginia, co-champions of the ACC regular season, they know how to get the job done. And now, the Friday matchups of the Sweet 16. We started out with LSU versus number 3 seeded LSU versus number 2 seeded Michigan State. Now, this is a matchup that I think a lot of people were thinking, oh, they got this wrapped up. Oh no, we got nothing to worry about. Now, LSU had to come from behind to beat Maryland, 69-67. Skylar Mays, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. And in Michigan State's victory over Minnesota, Cassius Winston, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. Cassius Winston, Nick Ward, they got to find a way to stop Skylar Mays. Nick Ward's got to be a beast. And he's got to find a way to stop Skylar Mays, and that's all there is to it. Otherwise, LSU's going to win this one going away. But all in all, if you stop and think about it, Michigan State proved why. They won the Big Ten Conference Tournament. They shared the Big Ten Championship with Purdue. But I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to make myself crystal clear when I say this. LSU got knocked out by Florida in the SEC tournament. I have not forgotten about that. So all in all, I'm going with Michigan State over LSU. Now, the next game for the Friday matchup in the Sweet 16. Auburn, North Carolina. Cameron Johnson, Kobe White, Nasir Little had a great game, 20 points. 20 big points in that game. But Cameron Johnson, Kobe White, they've got to step up. Auburn, they had a great performance out of... I think they had a great performance out of Bryce Brown. Let me see here. Yeah, Bryce Brown, 26 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. If Bryce Brown can repeat the performance like he had against Kansas, I could see Auburn not pulling off the upset. However, they're going to be facing Kobe White, Nasir Little, Cameron Johnson. So all in all, in the end, advantage North Carolina. Now, Virginia Tech and Duke. First of all, Duke's got to hit perimeter shots. They got to start hitting 3 balls badly. They can't hit threes. They got to start hitting threes and fast because it almost killed them against UCF. So I'm going to tell you right now, if there's going to be any upset in the Sweet 16, I think this could be the upset. But for the time being, I'm going to call it a toss-up because Zion Williamson did have 32 points, and Kerry Blackshear Jr., I think he had like 26. If my memory serves me correctly. Let me look over my cheat sheets. Yeah, he had 19 points. But I'm going to consider this game a toss-up. But I am going to say this now. Duke has got to start hitting perimeter shots, or it's lights out. And last but not least, for the Friday matchup in the Sweet 16, Houston versus Kentucky. Houston had no problems against Ohio State. On a Sunday, had no problems with Houston had no problems with Ohio State. Corey Davis Jr., 21.6 rebounds, 2 assists. And also on Saturday, Kentucky took care of Wolford 62-56. Reed Travis had a double-double in that game. If there's going to be an upset in this round, and I know it's going to be a minor one, it sounds like a minor upset, but it's a huge one. Because think about it. The Houston Cougars are in the American Athletic Conference. So there's a concern there. But if you stop and think about it, Kelvin Sampson, he knows how to get the job done. He knows how to pull off upsets. So if there's going to be an upset anywhere, in my opinion, I'm going to take Houston over Kentucky. I really am. Because you got a great players. I mean, Reed Travis. If P.J. Washington is not available, Houston's going to pull off the upset. That's all there is to it. I can see Kentucky losing. If P.J. Washington, if he's not going to be playing on Friday night, goodbye Kentucky. And that's all I got to say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the way it was this past weekend. You've got all my opinions. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Please tune in Friday night after all the games are done. I'll give you a complete wrap-up of the Sweet 16, and I will get you ready for the Elite Eight. After all the games on Friday night. Thank you guys so much for being with me here this morning. Thank you for taking the time with me here this morning. You guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you.